Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at the club at Shadow Lakes. My dear friend Butch Santacola, longtime member of the PSEA, is here to talk, and we're going to discuss education. And right now, as we speak out on the golf course, some of the amazing schools that call Beaver County their home. People like Ambridge and Central Valley, even Swickley Academy playing around the golf, and that's a good thing. And of course, Roads Transit, a big reason why these kids get to and from school and events throughout the year. And Butch, before we do anything, let's talk about busing and why it's so important, and people like Roads Transit and others who really are so important to a school district.
Well, I'll tell you, that's critical, Rob. Thank you for inviting me tonight.
Great to have you here.
That's critical. The kids can't get to school. They can't get educated.
Nope.
And the problem is, I think with the buses, there are fewer and fewer drivers. Less and less people want to drive. It's a hassle. You know, you have the morning, then you have the evening. And you talk to them. We have some of them. We represent some of them. Greatest people we want to. A lot of them are retired. A lot of them are retired teachers, whatever. But then they get into it, and it is a commitment that maybe they don't want to do. And they're finding, listen, schools could not function, families could not function without buses.
All right, listen, here are some of the things that I did some research on today. You never come to a show with anybody who was a former teacher or teacher without doing homework, and hopefully he's grading on the curve. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the things that I really want to talk about, and you know my passion for public school teachers. My children, Robbie and Eva, their mother is an amazing school teacher. She teaches kindergarten here in Hopewell, and I have such respect for her and everyone who makes their living doing that in any classroom across this great country. One of the big problems is classroom size, and they're saying anything over 30, you just can't get it done.
Well, actually, anything over 25, you can't get it done. I know some of the experts say 30, but think about that, Rob. You have 45-minute period. 30 kids you got to deal with. At 25, that's 5 extra minutes you have. I mean, it just makes common sense. That's been an issue in the schools for decades. When I was teaching back in the 60s, it is an issue. It's always going to be an issue. And the problem is that the class sizes are getting bigger and bigger. I marched in the parade yesterday with the teachers.
I saw your Facebook post to all of our public teachers out there, Labor Day.
PSEA, my colleagues from brothers and sisters from PSEA, all of them, everyone I talked to talked about the change and the change around. You know, some of the issues, one of them was class size. They can't deal with the numbers, especially with all the problems that are out there today. That's the key. Well, there's so many different problems.
Here's a big problem too, poverty. Hard to believe it, 22% of the children live in or at below the poverty level, which is about a family who earns $23,000 a year or less. That's sad.
Oh, that's really sad. That's a problem. Because those people don't live in the school districts like Moon Township, Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair, North Hills, North Allegheny, the school districts that are known for really being solid. They live in other school districts like Duquesne, Wilkinsburg, Stowe Rocks. And the difference between those schools is just fantastic, phenomenal. You have to say, I'm very proud of the Moon School District. Both of my kids went there, all 4 of my grandkids go there. It's a phenomenal campus they have right there.
Incredible.
And how do kids in one of the other school districts don't have that kind of structure, that kind of development work? And those teachers teaching those different districts, like Stowe Rocks, like Duquesne, they're my heroes because they perform every day without the right equipment, without the right books, without the right. They're my heroes. I mean, there was one guy. I think I've told you this story before. He was on the school board in Norwin. He was a teacher in Duquesne, and I hadn't been to Duquesne like for 5 or 6 years. I came back. He was still there. I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "What's going to happen to these kids if people like me leave?"
I know.
And that was a credit to him and to the district because he stayed until he retired.
All right, up next, family factors. These are all issues that our great public teachers are dealing with. Divorce, single parents, violence, poverty. What's your advice to these teachers who are dealing with this stuff today?
Don't be afraid to share with others. There are services out there that you can use. That's one of the big problems in the schools right now. There's no direction to the kids at home. The parents are having the problems, so they don't worry about their kids. And I don't want to make it that simple, but that's one of the issues. And there's a lot of services out there in the schools and outside the schools, and people should be willing to ask for help.
Listen, this is an AT&T Samsung phone. Jimmy Joe Savage shooting this. He's into technology. I'm into technology. Technology is great, but I have to ask you, I'm worried about public teachers. Could they be at a disadvantage because of kids?
No, I don't think so. A lot of schools are starting to get into technology, but you know, there's been, just read an article in the New York Times, and it said that they took a group of kids that was all computer, back and forth, all computer, And then they took a group of kids that did the same material by writing. Guess which group retained the information? The one that wrote. And that's one of the issues. The kids are not, technology is fine to a certain point. But the kids got to learn to write. The kids got to learn to communicate. The kids got to learn to put things down on paper.
Listen, when you were growing up in this region and somebody called you out in the playground, you did what you had to do. It was all good.
Right.
But it's a whole different world now.
Oh my, that's
Cyberbullying, bullying. What about that?
Oh my gosh, that's a big issue, and because I know people that are close to me that had to move their kids out of a school, and so much as some of it was a private school. They moved them up because they were bullied, and I don't know what the answer. The answer to that, I do have an answer. Get the parents involved. Get them. Hey, your kid's doing this. Get them involved. Because they're the ones that are probably responsible for the development of this whole thing. I'm sorry. It's been proven, Rob. If you take the kids from the elementary school, heavy parental involvement. They go to middle school, a little bit less. By the time they get to high school, there's hardly any in some of these districts. And how does a kid, say it's in a McKees Rocks or Duquesne, how does a kid compete with a kid, go back like in one of the other districts? They can't.
No, they don't have the tools.
They don't have the schools, they don't have the materials, they don't have the teachers, they don't have anything.
All right, listen, only because he's too good, and I wheeled him in at the last second because we had a cancellation today. I'm going to take a break, come back and do more with him because I want to get all these topics in because that's how much I care about public teachers. Stay with us, folks.